Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Chip. How are you guys today?
Excellent. Good morning.
Morning, doing great.
We were chatting a little bit before everyone joined, and seems like spirits are high and the boys are excited maybe for some golf coming up. But Kevin, we want to thank you for joining us this morning and for all of our attendees on the line. We have Kevin O'Bold from Aspen Creek Grill, who is their VP of Finance, as well as Chip Harden, which many of you may know, the Chief Revenue Officer at Instant Financial. And my name is Amal Almashad. I am the Senior Director of Partnerships and Business Development at Gratuity Solutions. And we greatly appreciate everybody's time here this morning and everybody's interest in learning about Kevin's experience with the Instant and Gratuity Solutions joint partnership and joint offering. Kevin, if you would like to go ahead and get started, or Chip, just with a brief introduction, and then we can go ahead and learn a little bit more about Kevin's experience.
Sure. Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Kevin O'Bold, VP of Finance, and just to tell you a little bit about Aspen Creek Grill, we're a full-service casual dining restaurant. It's a Colorado mountain theme lodge. We were created way back in 2009 by Kent Taylor. He was the founder of Texas Roadhouse, but he was an avid skier. He was inspired by ski lodges when he visited the state. And so our group kind of took over this concept in 2014 and just had 2 stores, and we've since grown it to 8 stores in Indiana, Kentucky, and Texas. We're a scratch kitchen. We offer what we call comfort fresh food. We hand cut all of our steaks. It's a farm raised Black Angus beef from Iowa. We have fall off the rim ribs, hand breaded seafood, fresh cut salads made from scratch, sides and croutons and dressings. But overall, it's just a warm environment with great food and great service.
Makes me really hungry for lunch. That sounds incredible.
I share that sentiment. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks very much for joining. As Amal alluded to, my name is Chip Harden. I'm the CRO at Instant Financial, based out of Atlanta. Instant was founded about 10 years ago to solve a problem that we solve for employees specifically, namely that their bills were misaligned with payday. And so we sought to build a platform to get liquidity to them in the moment. Today, what Instant does is we really serve as sort of Venmo for business, if you will, solving any money movement problem for employees. So that encompasses digital tips, which we're here to talk about today, as well as earned wage access, and traditional gross to net payroll delivery on a payroll card. So very much looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Kevin. And for everyone, like I mentioned earlier, my name is Amal Almashat, and I am the Senior Director of Partnerships and Business Development at Gratuity Solutions. We are a cloud-based solution that integrates with many different point of sale systems, time and attendance systems on the market, as well as any U.S. payroll provider. So we help automate the calculation and disbursements of tips all the way from POS to payroll. And for those of you on the call, the Q&A functionality is enabled, so please feel free to ask any and all questions. At the end of the call, we will provide some different channels for contact if you do have any questions you want to take offline, but please feel free to use the Q&A functionality. Kevin, if you could just, if we could go ahead and get started, and if you want to share some of the challenges you guys experienced at Aspen Creek before initially before implementing the instant pay card, because I know for you guys that came even before implementing Gratuity Solutions.
Yeah, like most things that we talk about lately, everything starts with COVID and how it changed the restaurant industry. So we were no different. We really were hit hard by, casual dining chain. You didn't have a drive-through. We didn't really have a lot of to-go or online sales at the time. So we experienced a lot of need for digital transactions to stop handling cash, have better, quicker ways to get money in our employees' pockets relating to pay and tips. So we partnered with Instant, started implementing these cards in all of our restaurants, and we solved a lot of problems right away. However, the years after that, we still had one big challenge remaining, and that was how to kind of automate the tips that we were paying out, automate the calculations they were doing with the tip pool, and just kind of make it more transparent for the team and have kind of more of a all-in-one solution that we were looking for. So just kind of finishing that last piece of the puzzle. What we used to do before we automated tips with Gratuity and Instant is we would go to the end of the shift, open up a spreadsheet on the back office computer. You would type in all of your POS reporting data. And then once you crunch the numbers in Excel, you'd have to find every single employee on the back office platform and manually enter their finalized pay. This is like a terrible time to do this activity because it's end of shift. Managers are tired. They want to go home. There's a lot of manual entries, so a lot of human error can be involved. So we really want to give that solution to our partners and our managers in the field. One thing that we really wanted to look for was some type of all-in-one customized solution per location. We had several locations, 8 at the time, and every solution that we found was just a one-size-fits-all. We have different position eligibilities with the front of house team, different shifts at each location. Some really pushed their scheduling at a shift level. Others wanted to go down to a check level, and everything was just kind of the same calculations. And that was really the two main problems that we needed to solve: is how do we automate this, and how do we find a customized solution per location?
Can I ask one question, Kevin, just to backtrack a little bit? Because I know we were talking before we started the webinar about, you launching Instant and sort of in the midst of COVID. And I'd welcome your thoughts on, certainly we have an opinion about this, but if there was any conversation around, putting the tips on paycheck versus paying somebody each night.
Yeah, I remember back before we had any type of pay card solution, status quo was to just have the tips go on the paycheck every 14 days.
Hmm.
But then we started feeling a lot of pressure, not only from people coming in that are new to organization, kind of saying, at my old job, I get paid once a week, or I get paid every night. So kind of opened our eyes to we're a little behind on this recruiting and retention opportunity. So we did move from 14 days to 1 week, but still it was paying people out of an envelope of cash that we just had, back in the office safe. And, what if people didn't come in for their shift? Did they get their money? We calculated it. We put it on their earnings for W-2 wages. So we did everything properly, but maybe they termed, maybe they don't come in for a couple of days. So it's just a lot of cash handling and herding cats kind of mentality. So that's really what led us to push that effort to get it all the way to daily pay on a digital transaction.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned recruiting. I think to us, what's interesting is what we're seeing from a employee expectation standpoint is that it really mimics that of consumer expectations. And so we live in a world where everything is real time, and increasingly, I think what we're seeing from the employee standpoint is that pay should be no different. So thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And Kevin, during the recruitment process, is that something that your team includes as part of the employee benefits? The ability to be able to receive your tips daily, in my opinion, would be a great recruiting tool. And in the past, even we've spoken to some customers who've let us know that if they have a competitor down the road who may be even offering higher wages, that or lower wages, excuse me, that some employees may even consider that just because they would have access to their pay daily versus having to wait in some cases for a biweekly payroll.
Yeah, it was a good learning process. We were resistant to change as a group early on, but it quickly shifted to just recognizing it as a benefit, like you said. Sometimes it's a little odd philosophically. You're maybe getting paid the same amount, but getting it earlier in your hands, being able to utilize the earnings that you have by being able to pay it digitally. It was a game changer. I remember a lot of employees just saying, we can't go backwards. This is great. I recognize all these benefits. And it did become something that we moved forward with 100% because we recognized how well received it was from all our employees.
Amazing. Could you let us know a little bit more about some of the conversations you had with leadership or management, or even down to multi-unit operators on what that decision-making process was like, where the hesitations were, if you saw, just whatever you feel comfortable sharing there.
Yeah, most of the resistance at first was, we've been doing this for a long time. I don't want to mess up somebody's pay or somebody's calculation. And we were saying, well, I think this is actually going to improve it. It's going to improve the transparency of it, the accuracy of the calculations. There's no manual errors. And it'll get you to the point where you actually feel more confident in this new process than you do the old one. And sometimes we have a lot of discrepancies too with employees saying, oh, I don't think that I got paid enough. And now it's kind of like, well, how do I prove that? How do I show them this calculation on this spreadsheet that they know nothing about? It's hard to see the process. We don't go down to check level or be able to show them just their tickets that they had, especially on tip share, because that's a differently weighted pool. Different people are eligible at different locations. So even at the corporate level, it is hard for me to keep track of all of them because you have 8 locations doing it 8 different ways. So I constantly have to field phone calls or emails and think, okay, which store is this? How are they doing it again? Oh, they do it unique on this way in this version. So it's hard to keep track, but getting it all under one umbrella was really good. And then one benefit that we didn't foresee was just the ability to give employees a mobile app and a card. And to them, that was kind of like a banking solution in a way. And a lot of our hourly employees are underbanked, and it's hard for them to kind of get that process going. So this is kind of a quasi, we are becoming a bank, as Aspen Creek to them, because we're giving them this financial solution and a card that they can go spend just like a debit credit card at any retail. So it also gave them that solution, which may have never been offered to them by an employer before.
When you were sort of having, when these conversations were being initiated internally, about the challenges you were experiencing on site, how you would move forward, what the solution was, could you give any insight on maybe any of the other solutions that you looked into, if they had any, if there were any sort of features or functions that were essential to your organization or essential, to your business operations. If you could share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the easiest pivot would have been to go to our point of sale. I feel like a lot of point of sales feel like they can offer that because they have all the sales data, they have all the labor data, they have your employee records to some extent. So they've got all the pieces to the puzzle. But one thing that they lacked was, it was a one size fits all. It was every store has to do a cookie cutter this way, and we can roll it out tomorrow. Well, I presented that option to all 8 of our restaurants, and not one of them said that's what they were currently doing. Because it had no flexibility at all. So everyone felt like they were going backwards, and they would be hurting some type of tips position or tip share pool eligibility. It would change their strategy of just how they schedule a shift, or someone would feel like they're not getting paid enough. The operators may have thought I'm paying too much to this position now. So that was the biggest piece, was having it customized per location, almost per shift, to the unique pieces we had. There are other software providers, or I guess just implementation teams that thought they could do it, but they didn't have really the hospitality industry understanding. They didn't really understand shifts, lunch, dinner, holidays, catering events, why we use it as a recruiting retention tool. And what we really needed was just a payment card solution and a custom calculation software to work with one another, because they would get what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it sounds like, through the decision-making process, initially you were looking for some sort of automation, as well as, a tool or a channel to be able to pay your employees their tips daily. And you found those things, but with also additional benefits. I know the instant card comes with lots of features and functions that improve overall financial literacy, financial well-being for the cardholder. And with Gratuity Solutions, the beauty of our platform is that we are able to customize based on each individual location. And for those groups who operate across state lines, we're able to keep them compliant with federal or state mandates as well.
And so now that we're in a spot where this is completely customized to your environment, Kevin, what has been the net impact, in terms of hours saved or otherwise?
Yeah, I come from the finance world, so a lot of things are time and money. And those are the two things that I know are measurable improvements to our business. First thing on time, we talked about kind of the administrative hours, managers' time at the end of the shift. We went through every store, and some have higher volume, lower volume, less complicated calculations. So it depends on the store, but the savings on not having to calculate on a spreadsheet, manually key in the payouts, track the hours for every shift. Managers told me they saved 20 to 30 minutes a day off their nightly procedures. Our highest volume store said it was probably 40 minutes. And once they got comfortable with the calculations, and they didn't even really have to, touch it at all when it was running its nightly process. It's instantaneous, once they close the books and just click the payout button. There's not really even many errors they have to fix or tweak. And what we noticed was there's really good improvement on quality of life. Just having that extra 30, 40 minutes back to your day, that you don't have to worry about that stress at night. You don't have to worry about that closing procedure. It's a half hour extra sleep that you get. So just that's the measurable part of hours, but the quality of life piece on the back end is a great time savings.
I'm really heartened to hear you say that about the quality of life, because at the risk of asking you something that's difficult to measure, I was going to ask you about, just overall engagement, right? And what positive impacts you've seen there. So that's terrific.
Yeah, and the other big savings was literal dollars and cents. This one bugged me because I couldn't solve this problem for the longest time until we went to the solution. But I call it just the rounding up effect. When you're keying in 20 to 30 people every single night, 365 days a year, you get, you want to speed the process up. You want to make it a little easier on yourself. And one shortcut was to just round up to the next dollar, or round down. And at the end of the day, yeah, you're off, 50 cents or something. That's okay. We'll just write that off. Well, if you're off 50 cents at all of our locations every single day, that adds up to $2,000 a year in lost cash. Yes, it makes it easier for the stores to do, but it's real money, and it's like real life office space happening in our restaurants. Just money just disappearing really quietly, really small variances. It's hard to even notice, but that's immediately what we saw. Yeah, our accounting team the next month's like, I balance. What's going on? I'm like, right. we just changed the calculations and it's to the penny. So just having that confidence and the dollar savings was impressive.
It's so pervasive in the industry, and it's something that we hear all the time. And so kudos to you and your team for really calculating that and realizing those savings.
How was your experience with implementation? I know that initially Aspen Creek rolled out with the instant card with the gratuity solutions at a later date. So if you could just tell us about what onboarding, what support was like, if you felt, the process to be seamless, because they weren't rolled out at the same time. Or if you had any feedback even from your management team or on site at each of the locations.
Yeah, so whenever we implement software of any kind, we take the approach of having a test store, kind of a guinea pig, proof of concept type route. And once we can have that solid game plan going, then we release it out to the rest of the stores. So we actually took our most sophisticated calculation and the hardest store that we could think of to roll this out, and said, if this can work at this store, it's going to work for the rest of the brand. So we were very strategic in that decision. This store had been open for over a decade. So they knew their process worked for recruiting and retention. They're also very different because they had a service well in their dinner shifts on a regular basis, which that was kind of unique to them and their volume. They didn't pay hosts any tip share. That was just, for some reason, a really easy job for them to recruit and retain in their market. So they really didn't even need to share tip share at that position, but they needed food runners and essays to receive a higher allocation. So because they were so unique and they didn't want to mess that up, we said, okay, let's try your store. The managing partner was really good at just having a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, could kind of foresee some unintended consequences that we may not see from just the corporate office not being in the store or boots on the ground. And the implementation process was pretty easy. Once we submitted, hey, this is the calculation store does, it's got all these lunch, dinner shifts and different if-then type scenarios that we need to put into play. We rolled it out, and then every single morning, he would kind of give us his feedback on the calculations. We would have to tweak things for the first, I think, week or two. And gratuity and instant were great because they were, within a couple of hours responding. They knew how important it was to roll this out. They knew that these little tiny trial and error pieces were important to us because we didn't want to lose confidence, didn't want to lose trust in the system. That the longer we went on, the more we knew it was going to be harder to change this at the store because they're just going to lose faith. But having that immediate response time was really critical for us. And we were literally testing this in a live environment, I guess, because if we didn't pay our employees because we thought something was off or something was wrong, all the employees were getting delayed payments and they're used to getting paid daily. So we still had to keep that intact. Kind of deadlines and expectations had to be met. So it was really good to work together as a team, and Instant knew how important it was to get people paid on time, and gratuity and the payday portal team kind of knew we needed to tweak stuff right away, and just understood these are people's lives, these are people's pay, what their expectations are, and they have to work together as thought partners to get this done.
I thank you for sharing that, Kevin. When we speak to customers or different groups, a lot of the hesitation sometimes would be about not having the resources or not sure what the lift would be internally for them, and hesitation, of course, on bringing in new processes, updating. The restaurant industry can be a little hesitant to change. And so I always let everybody know, please give us your problem child. We've been on the market for a very long time and have developed hundreds and hundreds of different algorithms and features and functions. And so our goal is to make sure that it works for your most complicated and most challenging situations. So I love that you took us up on that one.
And what was the aha moment there, Kevin, in terms of getting everybody on board? Was it the audit trail? Was it the automation? Was it some combination thereof?
Yeah, I think at the very end of the day, that aha moment was a set it and forget it, and the managing partner did not have to get involved. It only took a couple weeks, but they got to the point where they said, I've got nothing for you, Kevin. I've had all my feedback. I've looked at the numbers. The old way matches to the penny to the new way. Everyone got paid the exact same all the way across the board in every department. There's nothing to change anymore. And it was kind of that feeling of, oh, we didn't have to go in and tweak anything. We didn't have to spend time keying things in. So just the reconciliation before and after gave them that confidence. Having the audit trail gave us the confidence just from a finance, accounting, IT perspective that we could make everything match and we could prove it out. And then transparency too. We did have a couple employees that still they knew something was changing in the background. They could tell something was up, something was different. And so they were, kind of challenging every once in a while. Hey, I don't think I got paid the right amount. We could prove it now. We could show them the audit trail and transparency and the actual calculation and show it to them on a screen.
Right.
I think that's to them. They've never seen that before. So they're like, oh, you're right. That is the correct number. I had this assumption and it was wrong, or I didn't realize that person worked a little longer on their shift than normal after I left. So that really gave them the confidence that, okay, every time I come to my manager with these questions, they can prove it out to me. So I've got even more confidence it's the right number.
Magic.
Yeah, it really was.
So, you mentioned sort of the initial reticence maybe on your team's part or collectively as an organization. Would welcome your thoughts on, maybe advice for peers in the industry that may feel similarly.
Yeah, I would call myself a change agent in this organization that I work in, and it's been difficult because I think a lot of the restaurant industry is resistant to change as a whole. We're also probably 5, maybe 10 years behind technologically where other industries are. So adopting new technology in a industry that's resistant to change presents its own challenges. But we do have something going for us in the hospitality industry. And I think we know how to build relationships. We know how to provide hospitality to others and to guests, strangers we've never met, make them feel warm, make them feel welcome. So it's really a business about building trust with one another. So that's no different between the corporate office and our managing partners and our employees, that we're also building trust. We're also serving those that serve others. We have to have relationships with our third-party vendors to help run our business. So trust is anywhere and everywhere when we look around. So it's really important to get past those initial fears and understanding that you're all in this together and that you all believe that you have your best interest in heart. And so our model is really based off autonomy for our managing partners to run the business the way they wanted to run it, put their own personalities behind it. So it takes a lot of relationship building, rapport, trust that we're going to do the business plan together, communicate what's in it for me, what's in it for you. And I think really the biggest piece of advice I can give is to just build the trust with your partners, the key people in your business. You give them the ability to make those autonomous decisions, and you'll get rewarded back with these good results and these rollouts that you're trying to do technology wise. That's otherwise usually pretty hard to implement in the restaurant industry.
What a great answer. Thank you.
Another thing I'd like to add to that, and Kevin, you mentioned, it is a little bit scary or tricky to implement new solutions without impacting your business operations. And I think one of the main benefits that we often don't even hear about from some of our mutual customers, Chip, is how easy it is to roll this out without any impact to anyone else. So, in your example, Kevin, communicating with that one store as your pilot and handling most of it at the corporate or main office. I I always want to make sure that everybody who is interested or shopping around or eager to learn more about solutions like this, I want to let them know that it's something that they can test out in the background. Many of our customers use it in the same way that you mentioned, set it and forget it. And then there are others who prefer to be in daily manually, seeing all of the data. So it really is just exactly, how you envision it, relaying that to the teams, and then watching the solution do its magic. And for anyone on the call, don't see very many questions coming through. So if you do have questions, please don't hesitate to send them over.
I think Kevin was so thorough in his answers. That's why we don't have any questions.
I mean, Kevin hit all the points, right? We rolled it out to one challenging store. We shopped around. You didn't go into it blind. It sounds like you did all of your, research. You even rolled out both solutions at different times, which I think can be a little nerve-wracking for some people, right? It's like you get done with this one project, and then what are we going to do? Rally all the troops again to roll something new out. And, everyone, of course, is busy, and with busy seasons and timing can get really challenging, especially in the hospitality space. So, Kevin, thank you again for sharing your experience. And we very much appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks
And
for
Chip,
having me.
we appreciate the partnership.
Get my thoughts here. Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, let me just echo that. Kevin, thank you so much, and thank you for the partnership. And to just reiterate something that Amal said earlier, there is a lot of customization involved in bringing these solutions to bear in the marketplace because of what Kevin said, because of nuances between different environments, and because of the fact that we take this extremely seriously. I mean, ultimately, to Kevin's earlier point, we're talking about people's pay. And so we recognize the extreme responsibility of getting that right, as the webinar is titled, on time, every time. So Kevin, thank you so much. Amal, thank you for putting this together.
Thank you guys. It was great to catch up.